Hi there. Using my big boy hands. I don't think I'd ever be able to be in a coffee commercial. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Peter Parkour of the Distorted Theorists, and I am here today to do a little review of Abigail. Now, before I get into it, as always, if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button, because we always love having new viewers and new subscribers and new commenters, new news, dropping by and seeing what kind of weird stuff that we're getting up to with our movie reviews and reactions. And if you are returning to the channel, as always, thanks so much for coming back. We love that you come back and watch our stuff. If you want to hit that like, share, if you want to tell anyone to subscribe, but always do your best to try and leave a comment. Let you know what you think. Let me know, not let you know, let me know what you're actually thinking about these new reviews. This is only my second one. I'm kind of getting into the groove of doing them. But yeah, so I'm here to talk about Abigail. This was a movie that I watched almost immediately after my last review, which was Last Voyage of the Demeter, because I was kind of in that vampire mood. This was a film that I had seen the trailer for, well, it was last year because it released this year in 2024. And it kind of caught my attention, but it just fell on the back burner. It was produced by Project X and Radio Science, of which I believe has had a hand in the Scream reboot / sequels that have come out in the last couple of years. It was distributed by Universal, which was another, Universal's been big on the vampire movies lately. They did Last Voyage of the Demeter. They did Renfield, which is going to be coming up soon if I manage to get find it somewhere in streaming. And now we've got Abigail. So they're they're trying to keep into their monster era. Universal famously was trying to recreate the monster verse with Tom Cruise's Mummy, which I haven't seen. I've heard it's not great. They tried to do Dracula Retold, Reborn a couple of years ago, which I know wasn't very well received either. I think there was a couple of ideas that they were going to do regarding Frankenstein and the Wolfman, which never really got off, and I think they ended up kind of axing it. But as they're kind of continuing to move on with the monster movies. Now, the cast of the movie, it's not necessarily star-studded. It's got Melissa Barrera, who did star or at least have some part in the new Scream movies as well. We've got Dan Stevens, who from my knowledge, my limited knowledge of him, he was a Beast in Beauty and the Beast in the new one. There's Catherine Newton, which the channel knows from Quantumania fame. Kevin Durand, who's always had bit parts in movies that I've always liked. He's not a he's not a leading man, but he's very imposing in everything he's in because he's a massive dude. I think he's like 6'7", 6'8". He's a large dude, and he was I believe the antagonist in the new Apes movie. And then we've got Alicia Weir, who plays the teeny tiny pint-sized little bloodsucker. Spoiler, not really, it was in the trailer. And we've got Angus Cloud. I think this is his last, the last feature he was in before he unfortunately passed away. So it's got a large cast. There's a couple of other players in too with a larger name that I'm not really going to get into because it's not a spoiler, but it's just kind of nice when you see this person. You're like, oh my God, he's in this too. It's an ensemble cast that's just kind of thrown in together. And it's another bottle episode. The basic plot of the movie is it's a heist gone wrong when the heisties kidnap a little girl to use for ransom. She ends up being a monster, a vampire that just systematically starts taking them out one by one. And it's a heist gone wrong. The way that I look at it, really and truly, it's a dark comedy version of Home Alone with gore. There's a lot of gore in this movie. And I won't lie, when I started to watch this movie, I was home alone. And I had the dog with me, and I was like, you know what? I just kind of want to sit back and put something stupid on, turn my brain off. And it popped up. It was a movie that I've wanted to see for a while, and I kept seeing it on Prime, and I was like, this is kind of cool. And then it would just kind of slide to the back burner. And when I put it on, I started to watch it, and it was very predictable. The first act of the film is just like, ugh, okay. We've got the shit talker. We've got the muscle man. We've got the soldier. We've got the ex-cop. We've got all these people that are part of it. The motley crew of everyone they call like you, no names, can't see my face, can't do this, just get the job done. But and I won't like I mentioned, it's very predictable. And I texted Justin, and I texted a couple of other people. I texted my wife, and I texted someone else. I was like, I'm watching this movie. It's not great because for me, if it's predictable, there's a lot of movies out there that are predictable. And it's just something that I do. I look for patterns and I find them, and I'm pleasantly surprised when I'm pleasantly surprised. And that's what Abigail did. That is what Abigail truly did. It turned once the movie gets going. Is it a masterpiece? God, no. Is it a dark comedy that's witty, that's stupid, that's smart, and that is fun? Yes, 100%. It's, oh man, I can't my reaction was to again the people that I had texted initially was, oh, this is actually pretty good. And again, if you remember from my last video, if you watched my last voyage of the Demeter, for me, I'm pretty open about this. I do tell a lot of people about this. I have ADHD. If something is able to capture my attention long enough that I'm not doom scrolling on my phone, then that's that's a bonus. That's a huge bonus. And that's what Abigail did. I was on my phone. I was texting people in the first part of the movie, and then boom. Once it took off, phone was an afterthought. It is gory. It is bloody. It is funny. And there's a few twists. I'm not going to give anything away from that perspective. Like I'm light with my spoilers. Um, and the interactions between the characters as the movie progresses, people get separated, people team up, people start dying. It's going to happen, especially when you're dealing with a tiny little bloodsucker like Abigail. And it's it works. It works. Like I mentioned before, it's stupid. The plot is like, why are we trying to do this? And that's why some of the twists start to kind of play into each other. I don't care about any of the characters. I really and truly didn't. There was the film tries to inject some backstory into each of these characters that is like, oh yeah, tries to pull at the heartstrings of like, I really do. Any of these characters, really and truly, I didn't care if they lived or died. I didn't. And as the movie went through and they started to get picked off or whatever, and they got picked off in pretty fantastic fashion, it worked for me. The one of the kind of breakout stars was Alicia Weir. She's only a little, she's a kid. She was in the Matilda movie on Netflix, which I haven't seen. I love the original Matilda movie. Matilda is pretty special to a lot of people anyways. Um, and she does really well as Abigail, this little ballet dancer that just starts kicking ass as the movie goes through. And she goes through a little arc as well that I was pleasantly surprised by. I mentioned in the beginning of the review as well that this again takes place as a bottle episode. The characters get locked in this mansion while they wait for the heat to die down, which is what leads into the bigger story of the film. So there's no interactions from anyone outside. There isn't. It's just you've got these characters and the movie takes off. You don't have to worry about there's no big bad that you're worried about. There's no plot holes that you're looking about. Like, well, if they had done this, why wouldn't this have happened? And why wasn't there an alternate route? No. It's a mansion, it's spooky, there's a vampire, and that's pretty much what it comes down to. And the other thing about it is I've always, not always, but growing up, I was interested in like the vampire lore. Was I obsessed with vampires? No. You'll remember in my last review of the Demeter, me reading Dracula when I was young. Again, I'm not sure if I was sick or if the novel truly terrified me, but it kind of inspired something in me, and vampires were cool. That's why I kind of latched on to Buffy the Vampire Slayer when I was in junior high and high school. Um, then there was the Twilight movies. Now, granted, I read the books. I'll admit it. I read the books. Interesting take. Not a great take on vampires, but whatever. Interview with a Vampire. Love that movie. So I kind of know. I kind of know what to expect when it comes to vampires, and there's a couple of nuances and twists and changes to what happens with this particular movie's universal vampires, and it's nice. It's different. We're used to seeing the vampires are like, oh no, it's the sun is rising. Ah, yeah, it's a little twist on that this time. Um, but overall, I mean, I'm just kind of rambling now, which is what these reviews are going to be. I'm trying to put a little more structure to them, but this is a Scream Queen slasher horror movie with a bit of the supernatural involved in it. I did enjoy it. My rating for this, it's a great film. It starts slow, but it pays off in the end. You just have to get through that first. It's like The Office. You watch the first season, season and a half of The Office, and it is just painful, in my opinion, to get through. But then once you kind of start to um, feel for the characters, even though I don't care. I didn't care what happened to Dwight really and truly in Office. I didn't care what happened to Pam. I didn't care what happened to Michael. I just wanted them to kind of finish their stories. And that's what happens in this movie. I don't care if any of these characters live or die. It's not really clear who's going to make it through to the end. And when people start getting picked off, it's like, oh, okay, fair enough, whatever. I'm going to give this a solid 8.5 out of 10. I'm not going to try and give like the 8.7 or 9.2 or 3.6. No, I'm gonna give it in the half. So there's a 20-point rating scale for me. This is an 8.5. It's not a perfect film. It's not an amazing film. It's something that kept my attention, and it was fun. If I'm fun and enjoying myself in the movie with the set pieces, with the cinematography, with the music, with the twists, with the turns, that's good enough for me. Um, yeah, I kind of rambled with this. I apologize. This is not my normal idea that I wanted to have for these reviews. I'm kind of getting used to doing them. So if you have any pointers that you want to throw my way for these reviews as they go forward, because I'm planning on doing a ton more of these, and I want them to be concise. So I'm asking you, the community out there, to give me some pointers. Tell me what's working. Tell me what's not working. I'm a fan of rambling myself because, like I mentioned, ADHD. But anyways, I'm going to sign off there. As like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, as always, if you are new to the channel, stop, stick around, drop a subscribe. That's not right. Hit that subscribe button, drop a like, comment down below. If you're returning to the channel, we'd love to have you back. We're so glad that you're doing this, especially if you're sticking around to see an idiot like me talk about movies. If you enjoy what I'm doing, great. If you don't enjoy what I'm doing, great. Tell me what's going wrong. Tell me what I could be doing better, because I want to make this better. I want to reach a larger audience. So that's going to be it. Abigail came out 2024, distributed by Universal from Project X and Radio Silence. Slasher movie, super fun, 8.5 out of 10. I don't know why I'm doing this. It's not like things are going to be popping up on the screen. That's it for me. I'm Peter Parkour of the Distorted Theorists, and like we always say around here, keep it real.